Some people say that this location is super ulu, but if you just missed the Lentor Central Residence's launch, this might just be the one for you. Hey guys, welcome back to Own It with Ron. And it's the weekend. I just finished a string of viewings and I had to jump back into the office for this because guess what? I just got word that the brand new condo at Springleaf could be launching in August. So if you enjoy early insights like this, hit the like button so that this video will find its way to the home searchers and investors alike. And it will really help our channel so much. Thank you. So in today's video, I'm going to run through a framework that I have been using for my clients and my own purchase to identify projects with good potential upside. So this is how we are going to run through today's video. First, we'll give you the project info. Second, I'll run through the asset framework, which is the framework that I have been using. And lastly, I'll give you my personal unbiased opinion about this project, whether it's a yay or a nay. So this is what we know so far. District 26, Upper Thomson Road, and the specific location is called Springleaf. And if you find this familiar, yes, it's the Springleaf Prata. It started from there. This location is like Bukit Timah, where it is very close to nature. In fact, Bukit Timah and Thomson Road, it actually runs on the different side of the central catchment area. So this would be something giving out the same vibes as the Bukit Timah near to nature kind of location. The developers is Guacoland and Hong Leong, super renowned developers, and you can check out their quality in the Lentor region. There's basically most of the projects are by them. The target launch date, of course, is in August, like what we just mentioned. The number of units is approximately 941 units across 5 towers, and there's actually one conserved low-rise block, which is the ex-Upper Thomson Secondary School. So for projects that has this kind of conservation building, usually they are a statement piece and they usually get talked about quite frequently. The bedroom sizes ranges from 1 bedroom all the way to 5 bedroom. Facilities include 3 pools, a green lawn, tennis court, and more. So the location itself, it is just about 100 meters walk to the Springleaf MRT station. And like I said, the vibes there is basically lots of lush greenery and it is a private enclave. So a bit about the land bid history here. So there's actually Parcel A and Parcel B. However, this plot that we are talking about is Parcel B. What happened to Parcel A? Parcel A actually was launched with a covenant that the developer has to build the service apartment, which is categorized as SA2. So in this location, having a service apartment may not be something that developers are very excited about, because if you bid that Parcel A, you have to build it, and that probably caused the result of 0 bidders. However, if this plot of land has this SA2 requirement removed, basically this plot of land will be even larger plot of land than Parcel B, and it will have a retail component, which means potentially you will be living right next to a huge shopping mall. Next, we'll analyze this development using my asset framework. So first of all, it will be the affordability, followed by the supply and demand. We'll look into the safe entry, the estate appeal, and lastly, the transformation in the area. So of course, during this time of recording, we do not have the floor plan, site map, or even the sizes of units available. So I'm going to use the latest launch that just happened, which is the Lentor Central Residences. It is more than 98% sold, and I think they may just repeat the winning formula for this development. For the 5 bedroom, I will also take reference from the Lentor Mansions, which is also from the same developer. First up, let's talk about affordability. So a little bit about the introduction of this asset framework is we always look at affordability first. So affordability is not about buying the cheapest unit, but knowing that we can afford this unit and hold this without stress. In this framework, I will be pulling out the TDSR, knowing the rough pricing of the units here. We will do an affordability test so you know whether your household income or your individual income is able to hold this property comfortably. So first up, let's look at the price matrix. But before that, let me put in a disclaimer that this price matrix is done using my experience in the Lentor region as well as the past 16 years of looking at properties. It is in no way representative of the developer or my company. Let's look at the price matrix now. We can see that for the 1 bedroom, I think it will start below the $1 million mark, just like Lentor Central Residences, which is a winning formula in my opinion. It can go to 1.1 or even to 1.2 million. And of course, the 2-bedroom may start around 1.3 million, 1.6 plus million. The 3-bedroom probably around 1.7 to all the way up to about 2.5, 2.6 million. The 4-bedroom about around 2.2 all the way up to 3.4 million. And lastly, the 5-bedroom, I really hope that they will have something in the 2.7, 2.8 range, and it can go up to the 3.4 or 3.5 million. So this is the gauge. Okay, before we continue to the rest of the asset framework, please help me to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell button. My effort will reach out to more people, and it really helps me to grow this channel. Thank you very much for your support. Let's continue to the asset framework. Let's look at the first criteria, which is affordability. So in this example, I'll be using a 35-year-old couple, which means that you will be able to have a 30 years loan. Of course, if you couldn't get a 30 years loan, you have to do a bit of tweak over there. This is also assessing based on the latest TDSR framework at a 4.5% stress test interest rate. So looking at the 1-bedroom type, our estimated price, although I say it will start below 1 million, we will take a good gauge of 1.06, so that if you can afford 1.06, you can definitely afford anything lower than that. So a minimum household $11,100, you should be earning 5,500-ish each. But for 1-bedroom, probably you will be a single buying, so you should be looking at about 11,000 of monthly income. 2-bedroom, average about 1.49 million. You should have a household income of 15,500, which means that each of you should earn around $7,700. 3-bedroom, each of you should go around $9,900 of monthly income. Followed by 4-bedroom, your household income should be around the $25,000 per month. And lastly, to the 5-bedroom, you should see a minimum household income of $30,000. So this is an affordability test for those who are able to get 30 years loan. For those who are eligible for a 30 years loan, however, if you are not eligible for 30 years loan due to your age, feel free to reach out to me at this number and we can give you a customized plan to know whether this is actually an affordable project for your family. And next is supply and demand. So for supply and demand in my asset framework, basically we are looking at the supply, which forms either the competition or the price support that comes along with it, and the demand, whether there is a demand to buy your property from you in the event that you decide to let go and cash out. So let's zoom out a bit from Springleaf, and you'll see that in the Springleaf area is actually a private enclave, but to the north we have Yishun, Woodlands, Sembawang, Canberra, which forms that HDB upgraders pool moving nearer to town area. And of course, in the northeast region we have the Seletar and Sengkang and also Punggol area, and that is another mega pool of upgraders, especially now we have a lot of people from the North Shore region as well. So noting that these areas form the main bulk of buyers that may be looking into the Springleaf area for an upgrade, I think the future demand should be rather healthy. And of course, on the supply side, like I said, Springleaf is a private enclave and is mainly made up of landed properties and some private apartments. So the supply of private developments in the Springleaf area is very limited. If you're talking about a project that has 100 meters proximity to MRT station, I think the supply side is pretty safe. Let's talk about the next one, which is the safe entry. This is also something that is very important because not just the affordability, you may be able to afford something, but the price may not be a safe entry and it defeats the whole purpose of going into this property purchase. The latest land bid in the Lentor region is $920 per square foot per plot ratio, but this plot, we need to note that it is actually further away from MRT. So if you miss this development in Springleaf, the next development that you should be looking out for is this development in Lentor, which you will probably walk a bit further to the MRT station. And it is also worth to note that Norwood Grand, which is situated also very near to the MRT station, right up to the north at Woodlands, they are 80% sold and they were transacted from 1,895 2,205 to 2,252 per square foot, and these are transacted and accepted price points. And what we have just mentioned, the Lentor Central residences, it was transacted between $1,982 per square foot to $2,586 per square foot, and this development is 98% sold, which brings me to share with you that actually the Lentor region has very limited supply, and many people are unable to get a desired layout or unit because the supply right now is just too little. So this Springleaf launch is actually adding good supply into the region. I think the response will be very strong. And next would be the estate appeal. So in the asset framework, the product itself is actually the core of what we are assessing, and this estate appeal basically it will form that resale demand for you. So having the right product is the key for you to cash out in the future. So in my opinion, this is where Springleaf will shine. First of all, it has a very large land plot. It is full condo living, and of course there is conservation architecture within the development, which makes an iconic or statement piece. It is a high-rise building. It is surrounded by landed, which means in this development you either get a very beautiful unblocked landed view, which you do not need to go too high floor to actually get that kind of view, or you will get that greenery view that most Singaporeans yearn for. And of course, the MRT effect. This is just 100 meters to the MRT. We have seen developments like Lentor Modern, Chuan Park, Norwood Grand, and all these developments that has very close proximity to the MRT station actually get very good response from the ground. And I think that is not unique to just the new launch or pre-launch period. Even in the resale, we see buyers who are paying top dollars for MRT access. So this is also one of the reasons why I think this is part of the main estate appeal. And other than that, it would be the developer's track record. Having something that is from Guaco land, I think it also adds to the prestige. Last but not least, this is basically kind of Bukit Timah feel without kind of hefty price tag. If people who are attracted to the nature and wanting the landed enclave feel and the private residential estate, I think this location actually offers all this without that hefty price tag. Last but not least, the T, which is for transformation. So Singapore has constantly gone through transformation, and here I want to note that there are generally two types of transformation, which is the developmental kind of transformation and the regional kind of transformation. So the developmental kind of transformation, which is the MRT, the connectivity, malls, these are the transformation that is happening around and immediate. It has a more immediate effect to your appreciation. For this new launch at Springleaf, it already has the MRT there. However, the plot next to it will offer even more convenience, a shopping mall, which this would be one of the upside boosts for transformation, as well as of course the north-south corridor, Thomson East Coast Line completion, which I wouldn't go into too much of the details. If you are keen to learn more about the transformation in this area, I have actually shared in details about how this transformation will actually boost up pricing in this location. So you can hit this link to check out the Lentor video and you can learn more about the transformation there. And last but not least, if you look at the master plan, there is a large mass of land that's being zoned as residential. Of course, it is also up for detailed planning. Much like the Bidadari kind of story, we would expect more developments in that mass of land, which is called the Tagore area. And from the satellite picture, you will actually see that there is somewhat a provision for the new MRT station in Tagore, which means that that would be a new township itself, which also forms part of the transformation that both Lentor and Springleaf will benefit, because Tagore is right smack in the middle of these two zones. So I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited about this region and is about to see a lot of transformation. Just to add, something that I love is that the Thomson East Coast Line actually links all the way to the RTS, which in future, just within minutes, you can take public transport into JB if you are someone who loves shopping in JB. And that is the asset framework. And if you like to use this asset framework on other properties, drop them in the comment section and I will run the asset framework analysis analysis on those properties, as well as if you need help with your personal numbers or running this asset framework to your personal situation, hit me up and I'll be happy to have a chat with you. So now the moment of truth. Is this project a yay or a nay? So in my opinion, there really are some very good pros that we want to look at. Firstly, of course, is the MRT station that is right at your doorstep. The rare greenery surrounding you with those panoramic views, I think that is also something to go for. It's by one of my favorite developers, and I do think that developers matters, and is in a low density area, which means not just a good view, but it has less competition when it's time for you to actually cash out and upgrade. And lastly, of course, what we have just gone through on the asset framework, the transformation, I think this would have one of the closest transformation that Bidadari have seen. This will probably give you a very good boost in your home valuation. And not to mention the plot of land next to you, it is a huge land that has a mixed use, and it will definitely give you more amenities, shopping malls, and that will also give you a good lift up in your home value. I know you are waiting for this. So about the not so good things in this development, if you're someone that cannot buy a property that faces the expressway, I think half of this development is not for you. But of course, we have seen again and again, like the development in Clementi, the Alta, which has half of the development facing the expressway. It also sold very well. And I think for this, compared to Alta, is the greenery will actually give you some buffer of the noise level. If you're someone who cannot accept highway in front of you, probably half of this development is not for you. It also does not have primary school within the 2 kilometers range. I think that may be a bummer for a lot of people, especially growing families. You wouldn't want to move in and then start thinking of moving out like just 3 years later because your child is going for primary school. So peer pressure is real. When your children come to a time where they need to register for primary school, I think thought of moving house may just creep into you. So think carefully if you have a growing family. And last but not least, because I have done a lot of transactions in the Bukit Timah and the Hillview Dairy Farm area, if you are someone who is terrified of monkeys, you cannot stand the sight of monkeys, then probably you need to stay away from this development because the tendency of having monkeys here is quite high. Just look at the surrounding covered with greenery. They're bound to be wildlife around you. So if you're someone who cannot stand the sight of them, then probably this is not for you. So that's all I have for you today. If you want help running your own numbers, or you want to join me for the show flat preview, WhatsApp me. My number is over here. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And of course, turn on the notification bell so the next early review that we upload will actually reach you. I'm Ron signing off. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.